Ladies and gentlemen, on this Red Gaming Telecom video, we're going to be discussing Sony's financials. Sony have managed to lose 1.25 billion US dollars in the last financial year. Now, it's key to remember that the PS4 is still selling extremely well. Over 7 million of the consoles have been shifted, and demand is still very high. But still, the company has lost over 1.25 billion. Now, there's multiple reasons behind this, but it's the company's fourth annual loss in 5 years. So they've actually lost 128 billion yen, or about 746 million Great British pounds, which is quite the chunk of change. So if you compare that to the previous fiscal year, Sony managed to pull in a net income of about 41 billion yen. That's about 406 million US dollars. So, obviously, that means that Sony have been having quite a costly year. It's not to say that it's been a super negative year. Not all of it's doom and gloom. Their net sales have risen about 4.3%. which have definitely helped profits. Now, some of this is to do with foreign exchange rates, the strong launch of the PlayStation 4, and of course, smartphone sales are also increasing as well. So while some areas of Sony's business are certainly taking a hit, meanwhile, year-on-year gaming sales are increasing. They've gone up by about 38.5%. And if you want to know the US dollars, that's 9.6 billion. Unfortunately, a console launch is not a cheap thing. It's not like you just run, I don't know, pay-per-click advertising on Google for a few pennies. Unfortunately, these things actually cost a lot of money, not only in the research and development, but handing kits to developers, to asking developers, hey, Mr. Developer, do you mind awfully if you make this game, oh, I don't know, exclusives? And they'll say, well, you know, and they'll say, here's a chunk of change. A lot of this stuff really comes down to that, unfortunately. And so the actual gaming division has lost about 8.1 billion yen. That's not to say that they're completely and utterly screwed. Sony have managed to shift 3.7 million PS4, PS3, and PS2 units, and that was from the fourth quarter of last year, which is a slight improvement from a year-on-year. So that's 3.4 million year-on-year. Meanwhile, the Vita seems to be stalling just a hair. It's sold about 700,000 PlayStation Vitas, PlayStation Vita TVs, or PSP consoles. Now, when you consider that 1.3 million sold in the previous year, Sony have basically stated that portable hardware sales have dropped from 7 million to 4.1 million in one single year, which is definitely an ow. Meanwhile, Sony, in terms of software, have sold 91 million combined units in the fourth quarter of 2013. So that's pretty good. That's up 79 million from the previous year. So that means that their overall software sales have increased from 266 million to 374 million for the full year. What does all of that mean? Well, to put it mildly, Sony are still losing money. And I'm sure you might have heard, Kazuo Hirai, as well as many other Sony executives, are foregoing their bonuses for the PlayStation. And indeed, the CEO himself is going to be taking a 50% pay cut, which, you know, he's still going to be earning, but 50% is quite heavy. Now, this is an indication that things are not all going smoothly. Now, there was a lot of rumours going about that the PlayStation brand, and indeed, some analysts have predicted that the PlayStation and Sony themselves are going to be pretty much bankrupt within just a couple of years' time. There are, of course, some circumstances that are leading towards the owl that they're feeling right now. Some of it is plain the fact that they've cut and shut down, or shutting down, their PC division. And it's not like you just simply pull the plug and say, well, don't want to do this anymore. It's not like you're playing a game of tag. It requires severance pay for workers in some cases, actually trying to shift stock, In some cases, they might have already had, say, contracts, and therefore they may need to break for severance. And some of it is, a lot of it is indeed going towards goodwill gestures. Those gestures are not free, and Sony have been getting some flack because people are saying, well, are you going to be exiting, say, TVs and other areas as well? They're not really sure what they're going to do yet, and a lot of these areas are just not that profitable, to be honest. It's unsurprising that they took a major hit. This is a major issue with console development. No doubt Nintendo are feeling the pinch as well. Nintendo lost over $1 billion, for example, in the last fiscal year. I think it's about 1.3 if memory serves. But, you know, a fair chunk of change, and a lot of this, no doubt, is going onto the R&D of their own new console that they've confirmed that they're going to release. If you want more information, you can check out the video that we did just a couple of days ago. But it's pretty much par for the course, and with the amount of advertising and the amount of competition between Microsoft and Sony, well, it's very lucky from Sony's point of view that the PlayStation is selling fairly well. Does that mean you as a gamer should worry? I've seen some people actually posting, I don't know if I should get the PlayStation 4, I don't want to buy a console, and then 3 weeks later Sony announced we're broke. Well, I don't think that's going to happen, at least for a long time. So while, yes, they are in the hurt box for certain, at the same time, some of the other services, for example, their financial services, are doing extremely well indeed, which is obviously a really good thing. So some of the devices, their pictures, music is doing fairly well, the games are doing fairly well, and so on. But as I said, they are definitely taking a bit of an ow. So hopefully they should be fine. I don't think there's anything for us as gamers to worry about. We should be mindful, but we shouldn't worry. I think the PlayStation division, at the very least, is going to serve pretty well. And there were some comments that I heard regarding, well, is someone going to buy it? This is a very interesting comment, because it's like, okay, who could buy it? Let's say, you know, Sony really did go to the point where they really needed to sell the PlayStation division. There's a couple of different ways this would go. Personally, I think that what they're probably going to do is just be a bit smarter. They've not got any more buildings to sell, right? So they need to be a bit smarter. They're probably going to have to slowly start to get rid of all of their baggage, all of the branches of their company which are not doing them any favours, that are kind of dragging them down, acting as an anchor rather than helping to push them forward. For example, the music's doing fairly well, and the financial services are going to do fairly well, and the games eventually are going to do, once again, fairly well. But anything else, for example, just as they have with the TV, with the PC, they're going to have to just kind of bite the bullet long term. The problem is, well, even if they were to sell it, who is going to buy it, for one? And obviously you've got possibilities like Amazon. I don't think Microsoft themselves would pick it up. Nintendo certainly haven't got the cash. And so it has to be a company that's got the liquid cash to do it. Maybe, technically, Google could do it. They've got, you know, cash in abundance. Who knows? We're going to be seeing the Facebook PlayStation. I kid. But, as I said, the results are there for all to see. I don't think we should be, like, panicking or anything like that. We knew that we're going to be seeing losses because the PlayStation and all of the associated costs with launch, we knew that their PC sales as well were going to be expensive, and of course we know that they've not exactly been having an amazing time of it recently, but I think they should be okay, providing they are fairly smart with their decisions. Anyway, I'm going to leave you guys to it. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.